How about a nice glass of clean, refreshing water? In some parts of the world, clean water is taken for granted. But in Asia, more than 40% of the population has to make do with water that may be contaminated with pesticides, chemicals and human waste, which spread illness and disease. Asia is a remarkably diverse group of countries and cultures. It's home to over 4 billion people and is the most densely populated continent on the planet. It's also the world's fastest growing economy. Fresh water is an important resource for our economy and vital to continued growth and prosperity. In Asia and the Pacific, water is deeply embedded in our cultures and our way of life. It also powers our industries and grows our food. However, a growing population and rapid economic expansion, along with climate change and the widespread pollution of our rivers and lakes, are placing huge demands on our limited water resources. In short, our relationship with water is quickly becoming unsustainable. In nature, one adapts or dies. We are no exception. Asia's population will swell to 5 billion people by the year 2050, an increase of 25%. If we are to continue to prosper, our leaders must face the urgent challenge of increasing water security and conserving our precious natural resources, or risk seeing our recent economic advances recede. Access to water is a basic human right. To that end, we are closer to reaching the United Nations Millennium Development Goal for water. In countries across Asia, we have brought clean water to millions, directly improving the quality of people's lives, especially the poor. Yet 1.8 billion Asians, almost half our population, still suffer the indignity of poor sanitation. Where there's no access to toilets, human waste inevitably ends up in our rivers and lakes, polluting the water we depend on for our basic needs. As a result, 1 in 4 deaths of children under the age of 5 are directly related to waterborne diseases. In Asia, 1 million tons of wastewater from drains, factories and farms are dumped into our rivers and lakes every day. As a result, 80% of our rivers and wetlands are now in poor health, and the threat to our water security is increasing every day.
We cannot claim to live in a civilized society if our people don't have access to safe drinking water or to basic sanitation. For me, water security means that every person has access to safe drinking water and all the other needs for agriculture, for business, for industry.
Our region faces many challenges. Although advances in agricultural technology are available, farming in many parts of Asia continues as it has for centuries. Agriculture uses 70% of our available fresh water. But productivity is still too low and runoff is high and often contains pesticides, chemicals and waste which pollute our freshwater sources. Aquifers that store our groundwater are also being overpumped at rates faster than they can be replenished by nature. And we must deal with the effects of climate change. Increasingly erratic weather patterns mean escalating frequency and severity of storms, floods, and droughts. In 2011 alone, Thailand, Cambodia, Pakistan, China, and the Philippines were hit by devastating floods, resulting in loss of life, dislocation of families, and disruption of the economy. In Pakistan, the floods cost an estimated $10 billion in damage. In Thailand, over $45 billion. At the other extreme, droughts and desertification are spreading, endangering our food production and environment. The time has come for Asia's leaders to improve water security as an urgent and serious concern. To ignore it is to put Asia's continued prosperity in jeopardy. So how do we decide what to do? The Asian Water Development Outlook 2013 has developed a model to help leaders drive national progress in the 5 dimensions of water security. The first dimension is providing all people with reliable services of safe water and sanitation. The next is ensuring the productive use of water to sustain economic growth in industry, energy, and food production. The third dimension is investing in better water management services to support vibrant and livable cities. The fourth is restoring our river basins and ecosystems to health on a national and regional scale. And the fifth dimension is building resilient communities to reduce risk from natural disasters related to water. How many countries in Asia have achieved full water security in all 5 dimensions? Not one. While the advanced economies have made more progress in building water security, most countries in Asia are still at an early stage with much work still to be done.
I think Asia can achieve water security. We have the knowledge, we have the technology, the financing is available, but many countries in Asia are not doing a good job looking after their rivers. What is missing is political will. And sometimes the priority for water is not as high as it ought to be.
The choices made by our leaders today will greatly impact Asia's economies tomorrow. The path ahead for each country will be different, but for many, improved sanitation will be job number 1. Better sanitation directly relates to better health. The healthier our people, the more productive they are, and the better equipped to support their families. Sanitation includes the treatment of our wastewater, which is still not given sufficient priority in many Asian countries, in part due to the considerable expense involved. But the rewards of improved health, productivity, and a cleaner environment make it a sound investment.
There are so many inspiring success stories, not just from the rich countries, but also from cities in developing countries. It gives me hope.
The city of Shanghai undertook a massive cleanup of the Suzhou Creek, a major waterway, revitalizing the economy of the surrounding district. And the city of Bayawan in the Philippines, which pioneered a wastewater treatment using a cost-effective natural process. Or the Pacific island of Tonga, which installed eco-friendly dry toilets to protect its fragile aquifer. Many Asian cities still lose up to 50% of their treated water due to leaks and illegal connections, resulting in losses of $10 billion a year. But in Cambodia, the Phnom Penh Water Supply Authority has slashed losses to less than 5%. Now, 90% of the city's residents receive clean water 24/7. In Singapore, the decision to implement an integrated approach to improve water supply, increase reuse, recycling, and conservation of water has become an example of what can be achieved. Leading industries in Asia are finding new ways to clean up their discharges and recycle water to make rivers healthier. Improved technologies in agriculture are revitalizing irrigation services and bringing more crop per drop to support farmers. Wetlands and swamps, once prime areas for farming and urban development, are now recognized in China as vital green infrastructure, a natural way to absorb water in the rainy season and reduce flooding. These are just a few of the many innovations Asian leaders are using to increase water security, but there's still much to be done.
My appeal to the government and the public sector is, if you have the political will, if you believe that your poor people are as entitled to water security as your rich people. If you have good governance, the job can be done. Water security is everyone's job. It is a job of the people, it is a job of the government, it's a job of business, it's the job of the international community. It's a challenge that should bring all of us together.
Water security is essential for economic prosperity and the future we want to enjoy. With inspired leadership, we can secure Asia's continued growth, not just for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children. So which glass of water do you want our people to drink? The time for leaders to choose water security is now.